Chapter 3. When the queen realized his son wasn't taking the matter of getting a wife seriously, she decided to intervene. She talked to her husband, the king, into throwing a ball where all the marrying age princesses would be invited. This ball would be far more elegant than Cinderella's, because in hers there were invited the marrying age damsels as well. As we were saying, for Roman's ball only princesses would be summoned, and it didn't matter if they came from near or far. The queen had set her heart on a princess for her little cherub. Roman immediately understood the wicked plan his mother was developing. Since the ball would take place in his palace, he wouldn't be able to hide under a commoner outfit or evade a boring company of princesses all night long. In this situation, he had no option but to wear the tight suit, the ridiculous shoes, and the huge crown. The big day arrived, and Roman reluctantly introduced himself to all the guests at the ball. His good friend Roderick was one of the few princes invited. The queen was not looking forward to any competition or distraction that would deprive his baby of being the princess's center of attention. His friend Roderick had to wear his royal suit too, so he didn't feel so lonely in this silly task of dressing himself as a buffoon. As princesses normally don't notice commoners or waiters, none of them knew who Roman was, so they whispered behind his back, "Where did one come from? I've never seen him before." A pale princess expressed, "I truly have no idea, but we weren't missing a thing. He's quite common." Another remarked in disdain, "Don't you know he's the wealthiest prince from the surroundings?" A third one informed her peers, who took great trouble being aware of the fortunes of all royal members. "He has one of the most splendid fortunes in the world." "Are you kidding me?" commented the second. Well, looking at him a little more closely, he's not that ugly. With a little of food and exercise, he would look much better." The first one added, "And a pair of contact lenses would hurt either," she continued as she noticed Roman's eyes behind his glasses. So, the three princesses, whose main objective was to become wealthier in order to go shopping, travel, buy jewelry and perfumes from around the globe, approached her prince. Little did they know that even they weren't familiar with Roman. He perfectly knew their spoiled nature. The princesses flattered him all night long. They even fought for the honor to dance with him first, so they couldn't understand why he didn't seem to care, and he didn't even smile. They were surprised to know that he was aware of their opinions about others, and astonished by the sour comments he repeated. They asked themselves if he should speak lower. They were embarrassed that this unknown prince knew the things they talked in private. Roman had to stand the company of the princesses under his parents' surveillance all night long. When the ball was over, he personally said goodbye to all the party guests, because that's one of the duties a host must follow. Once everyone had left, just before going to bed, his mother told him that he had his next week scheduled with several activities. The queen hadn't lost any time. She had spoken with all the eligible candidates, and she was planning to organize several private gatherings and outings for his son and each of the princesses, so that Roman had no place